Here, Venerable Ajaan finished his Dhamma talk, which was aimed at helping that bhikkhu whom he felt sorry for. At this point, I feel that I should go on to tell you about what happened after this talk, for the reasonings and the principles of Dhamma which Venerable Ajaan displayed then may act as a moral that we Buddhists can ponder and keep in mind. If I don't put it down here, the strength and weight of the Dhamma which Venerable Ajaan displayed then will be lost, for the subject of this Dhamma concerns that which brings sorrow and regret to those who revere the Sasana, Dhamma, and the Acharyas. How modern bhikkhus sell their Acharya. After Venerable Ajaan finished the above talk, another bhikkhu paid respect to Venerable Ajaan and told him about the cremated remains of Venerable Ajaan Sao, saying, "Some of the bhikkhus who are his followers have taken the bony remains and crushed them to a powder and mixed them up with various other powders which they think have supernatural properties. Then they mold them into small Buddha images and sell them in large numbers, and they are asking a high price for each one also. Many people who have reverence for him have bought them, without being concerned about whether the cost is low or high. When I found out about this, I couldn't help feeling sorry and upset about it. This is all I have to say." Venerable Ajaan Mun immediately exclaimed, "Oho! They've gone that far, have they? Those bhikkhus who destroy the sasana and their teachers and acharyas have become dogs, biting and gnawing even his bones. In fact, worse than dogs. Such people are completely thoughtless, and they can't find any other way to support themselves, so they have to go and bite and gnaw at the bones of their own Ajaan. Even dogs know their own master and are not likely to go biting and gnawing at him, but here they are worse than dogs and don't even know their own master, so they bite and gnaw up the lot. People of this kind have lost all sense of shame when they can bite and gnaw up the bones of their teacher, their acharya, and then go out and sell them." "Ho!" he exclaimed, pointing his finger at us and moving it from side to side to include every one of us who was sitting there. Then, in a fierce and fiery manner, he said, "All of you who have come to stay with me here, have you come to stay as bhikkhus or to live like dogs? Answer me quickly! If you have come here to be bhikkhus, then you must be concerned with Dhamma and establishing the practice in your hearts. But if you have come here to live like dogs, as has been the case up to now, then you will be waiting about to scramble for bones, to bite them and gnaw them, and making a living by selling my bones like those thoughtless people. For that's the way of those who indulge in dogs' practices, and not the way of bhikkhus. For they wait about to gnaw the living and to gnaw the dead, never being satisfied and never being ashamed of doing evil in any way at all. With base and mean hearts they wait for the chance to destroy the sasana and to destroy their own teacher, their acharya, quite shamelessly. Who are the clever ones here, waiting to bite and gnaw my flesh and bones and to go and sell them, either while I am alive or when I am dead and gone? Quickly, tell me, so that I can give you a title and make your name famous while I am still alive by calling you the merchant who trades in his acharya's bones." Not only do bhikkhus of this kind act like dogs, just waiting to gnaw their teacher's bones, but they also have many other tricks for selling their acharya. Wherever they go, they like to boast that they are a follower of this or that well-known acharya who is highly respected by large numbers of people, and they do this as a way to gain attention and curry favors. They are the type who chop at the flesh, cut away the skin, and gnaw the bones of their acharyas to sell and to live on for the rest of their lives. They eat away at him until he dies, and go on selling him until there is none left. They eat and sell with complete lack of shame, and go on doing so all through the rest of their lives, telling everyone and advertising their sales, and they can never stop talking to give their mouths some rest, because the maggots which are their ambitious cravings have got into their hearts, until all the bhikkhus, novices, and lay people who are devoted to Sīla, Dhamma, and the ways of practice are all fed up and tired of them and have no desire to meet them or have any association with them, even though they are all followers of the same acharyas. Are there any left here staying with me now who are learning the skills of the dogs in gnawing bones? Any who are doing the dog's practice, waiting to bite and gnaw my bones alive or dead?" Venerable Ajaan went on speaking in this manner until we were all benumbed. But even then he still went on, attacking and hitting without ever being specific nor defining his targets, until his listeners were out of their wits, feeling restless and anxious, hot and cold within, and feeling as if they would like to crawl into a hole in the ground, because of their fear and shame which they could not shake off, as if each of them was the dog who was so clever at eating and gnawing his bones, even though this was not the case. After that he went on to describe those bhikkhus whose hearts were so base and vile, and lacking any brightness of Dhamma within them. They had lost all hope in Dhamma, lost all incentive to strive and correct their hearts, and lost all interest in finding out about Dhamma, which could change their understanding within themselves, and then percolate outward into their behavior. He went on to say, "This is because their hearts have turned against Dhamma and gone entirely towards the world. They depend only on the material things of the world to be their support, their aramana, and the dwelling place of their minds, their hearts, as well as the things which adorn them with honor and dignity. By various methods of flattery and cajoling speech, they induce those lay people, who have an inherent tendency which comes from their traditions and ancestry to have faith in bhikkhus, to accept and follow them. Then they go around, collecting such people as their followers to increase their esteem and reputation for skilled oratory and clever eloquence. They have the power of a strong, charismatic character, with many people who respect and have faith in them, and many followers and disciples. One may be sure that the day will come when they forget themselves, and their conceit and vanity grows and piles up until they completely lose all sense of proportion. Then day and night they will spend their whole time disturbed and agitated by all sorts of things, persuading this person to build this and that person to construct that, and how much merit will come from it, even while they are preparing themselves to jump into the hell of creating disturbance and turmoil the whole time. Such people cannot even establish any stability in themselves by being calm and contented for 2 moments together, because their hearts and minds are spoiled, their virtue is spoiled, and also because their minds and hearts are always full of those things which accumulate and promote those kilesas typified by worldly, material desires. This makes them persistently agitated, and it also makes them go out touring around, involving others and begging from Buddhists who have faith in all sorts of ways to make some contributions for constructing and building this or that sacred structure which is said to have supernatural significance and rather expensive. They do this over and over again in all sorts of ways until we can't keep up with the tricks and methods of such bhikkhus as this, who are quite extraordinary. But when it comes to the ways of calm and happiness of heart, both for themselves and others, they hardly have any interest at all. Even when they go to stay with a teacher, an acharya, they only do so as a way to jump on the bandwagon, and as mere ceremony, so that they can claim that they came and stayed and trained under this very prominent and important acharya, and so that when they leave they will be able to announce this and advertise themselves as widely as is possible. This is how those who practice the way of self-advertisement act, with the bloated conceit, thinking that now I am clever enough so that my brightness and clarity is sparkling and shining out because I have been living as a close follower who has pleased this important acharya. In a short while he leaves the acharya's monastery bright and full of himself, but he has still not tried his hand, his skill, his strength and ability at all. Soon the new personality he has made for himself makes him want to talk, and to say, "Whoever wants to try his hand, come here quickly to be trained and become worthy of the knowledge, vidya, which I have just succeeded in attaining. You will get the path, the magga, and the fruition, the phala, quickly, which you have been wanting and aspiring to for a long time. I am not just playing and trying to show off how clever I am, for the knowledge I have is truly as I claim." So when other people who have Buddhism deeply embedded in their character do not believe what the bhikkhus say, who can they believe and who can they trust? There is nobody to have faith in but the bhikkhus, but when they believe in those bhikkhus of the type who bite and gnaw the bones, flesh, and skin of their teacher, their acharyas as well as the lay people, the way is open for them to all go to ruin with him, which is a sorry thing to happen. This is what I am most afraid of, that this sort of thing which I have described is sure to happen, because of the base and low state of the minds and hearts of those bhikkhus who practice like parasites, and who just lie in wait to destroy the field of their companions, as well as the hearts and minds of other Buddhists, causing endless destruction and ruin. See how Venerable Ajaan Sao died only a few years ago. Yet so soon his own followers have turned and become like grubs and worms, destroying everything by themselves in all sorts of ways. So I can't believe that when the time comes, those followers of mine of the parasitic kind, who come to stay here with me temporarily from time to time, will not do the same kind of thing or worse. As for those bhikkhus of the kind who are genuine, and who follow the ways of their teacher, life will be difficult for them, and they will be rejected in the popular esteem of the world. In other words, they will be blamed and criticized, because they will all be associated together equally as followers of the teacher. Those who act with such base and evil motives in their hearts and minds can never come to any self-knowledge and understanding at all, right up to the day that they die. This makes me concerned for those who practice the way well and properly, of whom there are a large number, for they will have to put up with whatever disturbance comes from those bhikkhus who are made of piss and shit, and go about scattering it all over their companions and causing them to stink as well. I have often talked with concern and anxiety for the circle of those who come to stay here, and what concerns me most are those members who are just waiting to destroy themselves and their companions so that all of them deteriorate and rot away together. Because this type of person is not the type to listen patiently and accept the reasoning concerning good and evil from the teacher with strong interest in Dhamma, nor from anyone else for that matter. Even while they are living and staying with the Acharya, they tend to display the characteristics of those who tend towards things which are base and evil, and they have shown up themselves for me to see quite clearly. So when they leave their Acharya, I am quite sure that they will display their abilities as much as their skill enables them to do so. Don't think that I don't know, because there are gross and obvious things which don't need any subtle investigation for one to be able to know and understand. In fact, without even trying, I can see them and know them, and I can know every part of them and how they move and act, both internally and externally. But I keep it to myself. While they are staying with their teacher, or while the teacher is still alive, they try to improve their claws and keep their teeth under cover most of the time, enough to put on a seemly appearance to the world so that they don't seem to be too reckless and independent. But as soon as the teacher is dead and gone, these parasitical bhikkhus get their chance to display their colors as much as they can in all sorts of ways without any restraint, because there is nothing left for them to fear which could arouse any remorse or shame in them. When people have completely lost all interest in Dhamma, they are capable of doing all kinds of evil without having any sense of remorse or shame at all. It is people of this kind who are capable of doing great harm to their own companions and to Buddhism, to the sasana, by depending on the yellow robe and the requisites of a Thutanga Kammaṭṭhāna bhikkhu as their means of living, and destroying themselves. I am very concerned about them because they are inured to their ways and resistant to the remedy. For they are clever with Dhamma theory, and it is hard to find anyone to equal those monks who have lost all sense of shame and fear, Hiri-ottapa Dhamma, of what the future holds for them within their hearts. I don't praise those bhikkhus who act in ways that are not praiseworthy, nor do I blame those who should not be blamed, but I do praise those bhikkhus who practice well, and who should be held in admiration, and I also blame those bhikkhus who are worthy of blame. For amongst all the bhikkhus who have come to me and made a formal agreement, a paṭiñāna, to be my followers both old and new, There are those who are evil and worthy of blame, as well as those who are good and worthy of praise, all mixed together. It has always been like this through the past ages, right up to the present time. Some evil and many good. But for those of you who still have hope in Dhamma as being that kind of wealth which you should attain, I ask you please to take to heart all these aspects of Dhamma which I have displayed here. As for those who are creating a situation of hopelessness for themselves in their own futures and refuse to look at their own faults, they should not stay here to be a burden on the sasana, the acharyas, and all their companions. They should go out and create their own ruin to their heart's content, for after they die there is no more creating and building, and they can enjoy the results of the Dhamma which they like so much, all on their own, and nobody else will disturb them by trying to grab some of it for themselves. They will probably have lots of fun on their own, because this kind of Dhamma result, this vipaka, is loathed and greatly feared by the world of good people, and they can be sure that nobody will dare to steal any of it, for sure. I have trained and taught you all from when I first started up to the present day, but now I am old, and before long I shall die. I reckon that I have taught you everything, both in external things as well as internal, and there is nothing left over with which to make up any more remedies. Any of you who still feel unsatisfied will have to make it up for yourselves, but take care not to alter it and turn it into poison that destroys yourself as well as your companions, as we have seen and heard just now. Apart from this, you may go ahead as you will, and with my blessing also.